Peace be upon you, and welcome to a new episode. On Saturday, the 11th of September 2021, on the agricultural road connecting the village of Bani Haram with Dairut al-Sharif in the Dairut district of Asyut, one of the men heading to work on his motorcycle was riding beside the small canal. He noticed a large, tightly sealed bag partially floating in the water, with dark red blood mixing into the canal from the outside of the bag. The man got closer and pushed the bag to flip it over, expecting a dead animal or some garbage. But what came out was the lower half of a human body. Shocked, he screamed, and people nearby rushed to him after hearing the noise. They immediately alerted the police, and the team arrived within minutes under the supervision of the security director of Asyut. The criminal investigation officers opened the bag carefully and confirmed that it was part of the body of a young man in his 20s, cleanly cut as if by someone skilled with sharp tools, and the blood was still relatively fresh. From the very first moment, the mystery was huge. Who was this young man? There was no ID, no documents, nothing. Just simple clothing, jeans and a cotton shirt, suggesting someone local from the rural area. The police summoned the divers, who entered the canal to search for more parts of the body. Meanwhile, the forensic team at Asyut University Hospital examined the discovered part and confirmed that the wounds came from a sharp tool and that the body had not been in the water for long, meaning it was likely dumped recently, possibly the previous night. But the events didn't stop here. A few hours later, around noon, the divers found the upper half of the body in the same canal, but a bit farther away near the Dairut Bridge. The torso from the waist to the neck, without the head, bearing multiple stab wounds to the chest and abdomen. The team collected the two parts and transferred them to the morgue under heavy security. The police declared a state of alert in the Dairut district because this was not an ordinary crime. This was a carefully planned and dismembered murder. The initial investigation focused on the dumping site. Police searched several kilometers along the canal, found fibers from the plastic bag that matched common trash bags in the area, and water samples contaminated with blood that the forensic team confirmed belonged to a single individual. But the mystery deepened. No missing person reports had been filed in either Bani Haram or Dairut, and villagers said no one was missing and that the area had been quiet. Police began questioning residents near the canal, and at the same time, local media in Asyut reported about a dismembered body found in Dairut. But the security director warned against leaks to avoid alerting the killer and ordered the formation of a special investigation team of 20 officers to cover the surrounding areas. After a full day, on Sunday, the 12th of September 2021, at 10 a.m., a new report reached Dairut Police Station. A local resident on the same agricultural road near Dairut found a small bag on the ground containing the severed head, with the face disfigured by stab wounds to the neck and face. Police rushed to the location, collected the head, and transferred it to forensic examination. The full forensic report confirmed that death occurred on Thursday, the 9th of September, at around 8:30 p.m. from multiple sharp stab wounds, and that the dismemberment happened hours after death so that the blood would clot quickly. The body belonged to a young man, 170 centimeters tall, weighing 70 kilograms, in his late 20s. His fingerprints were sent to the criminal lab in Cairo. On the same day, at 2 p.m., an official report was filed by Ahmed Mohamed Ali, reporting the disappearance of his brother Ahmed. Missing for 2 days, Uday described Ahmed as 28 years old, a plumber, resident of Al-Saida Street in Dairut. He had gone to his uncle's house to fix a washing machine and never returned. His Suzuki car was still parked safely beneath the house. Police immediately connected the missing person report to the body and summoned the family to the morgue, where they confirmed the identity. Now that you know the victim, let's go back a bit to understand who Ahmed Mohamed Ali was and what made him a target for this crime. Ahmed was born on the 15th of March 1993 in Asyut, and he grew up in a modest family. His father, Muhammad Abbas, had been separated from his mother for years, and she lived with Ahmed in his grandmother's house on Al-Sa'ida Street. Ahmed was the eldest son, responsible for everything. From a young age, he worked to help with the family expenses and fix things around the house and for the neighbors. In 2016, he traveled to Cairo to learn plumbing. He worked in apartment finishing in the 6 October area for 2 years, saved up a small amount of money, and returned to Asyut in 2018 to live close to his family and build his life there. He bought a small Suzuki pickup truck and began doing daily delivery jobs, transporting items for people in Beirut, and repairing washing machines and faucets for free, especially for neighbors in Bani Haram, and Beirut al-Sharif. Ahmed was very loved. Everyone who knew him said he was decent, humble, and never caused problems. He spent most of his money on his family and was planning to build a small apartment on top of the family house so he could marry a girl from the area soon. He dreamed of a small family and stable work. His brother Uday relied on him for school expenses, and his mother said he was the light of her eyes. There were no conflicts, not even with relatives, like his uncle Muhammad Ali Hassan, who treated him like a second father. Muhammad Ali Hassan, Ahmed's paternal uncle, was a man in his 50s who had been obsessed with antiquities for years. He was convinced that beneath his old house on Al-Sa'ida Street lay an ancient pharaonic tomb filled with gold and statues, based on old stories he had heard from the elderly in Beirut. Muhammad, who worked in agriculture but was poor and in debt by 10,000 Egyptian pounds, sold part of his small land and spent all his savings, about 25,000 Egyptian pounds, on digging equipment. He began digging secretly on the 15th of April 2021 in 2 back rooms of the house, going deeper and deeper over time. The entire family was involved from the beginning. His wife Fatima Mohammed, 48, his son Adham, 25, who resembled Ahmed in appearance and age, and who dug with his father every night after dinner for hours, carrying out the soil himself. His daughter, unnamed in reports, 22, who guarded the main door every night and brushed away curious neighbors with excuses like, "We're building a storage basement." Fatima's nephew Ali Ahmed, 30, who transported the dugout soil in bags to the canal in Beirut al-Sharif so it wouldn't pile up around the house. The 5 other partners, Muhammad Ahmed, 35, Hassan Ibrahim, 40, Salem Omar, 28, and 2 more from Beirut Center, whose names were not specified but who were agricultural workers, helped with the digging in exchange for an equal share of the treasure they hoped to find. They came at night once every 2 weeks, dug for hours, then left. The digging wasn't random. Muhammad had enlisted 2 local sorcerers, Ali Ahmed, 50 years old, and Muhammad Ahmed, 45, who claimed they could communicate with jinn through rituals and incantations. These sorcerers, known in the area for taking money in exchange for predictions, told him that beneath the house was the entrance to an ancient pharaonic tomb, but its guardian was a powerful jinn who would not allow it to open unless a human sacrifice was offered so that the jinn would be satisfied and allow the treasure to be retrieved. Muhammad paid them 5,000 pounds up front and promised them 20% of the treasure. In the same meeting, they drew symbols on paper, recited incantations for 20 minutes, and set the main conditions. The sacrifice had to be an unmarried young man in his 20s, the firstborn son of his father, of good reputation in the area, fully conscious at the moment of slaughter so the blood would flow fresh, and the blood must be poured evenly into the 2 pits, to flood the tomb's threshold. On May 1st, 2021, after they had reached a depth of 10 meters, Mohammed gathered the whole family and the 5 partners for a long meeting. After heated discussion, he chose Ahmed. He matches all the jinn's conditions. He is my brother's son. No one will suspect anything, and he will come to the house easily. They all agreed, and the sorcerers confirmed that Thursday was ideal for the ritual because the jinn's power was strongest on those nights, and they set March 15th as the appropriate day for offering the sacrifice. On Thursday, September 9th, 2021, at 8 p.m., Fatima called Ahmed from her phone and told him that the washing machine was broken and they needed him immediately. Ahmed, who had been taking a short nap after a long workday, got up, got dressed, and walked to his uncle's house, which was only 50 meters away. His family knew he went and waited for him to return as he always did, especially since that washing machine had actually been broken for a week. When Ahmed stepped through the old wooden door, he found the 7 men waiting in the back room, Adam holding a sharp knife, Fatima standing at the entrance ready to close the door, Mohamed Ali supervising from the back room, the 2 sorcerers, Ali Ahmed and Mohamed Ahmed, standing next to the first pit with the buckets ready, Ali Ahmed and Fatima's nephew holding the ropes tied to the walls, and Mohamed Ahmed, Hassan Ibrahim, Salem Omar, and the other 2 guarding the outside doors and windows. Ahmed wondered silently what was happening. The room was dim, and the smell was strange. But before he could speak or ask anything, Adham suddenly lunged and delivered the first stab to his abdomen, then another to his chest, and a third to his arm, more than 10 rapid stabs. Ahmed tried to resist and grab the knife, but the men quickly tied his hands and feet with ropes. The sorcerers continued stabbing his neck and legs, and blood quickly flooded the dirt floor. Mohamed Ali entered and delivered the final blow to the heart. The body collapsed silently near the edge of the pit. Everyone stood watching for long minutes while the sorcerers collected the blood in buckets, poured it evenly into the 2 pits, drew pentagrams, circles, and symbols on the walls with the blood, and recited incantations for a full 10 minutes while burning incense that filled the room with a strange smell. Fatima washed part of the floor with water and soap, but the walls remained stained and the ground still wet. The body was left in the room until Friday, so the ritual could complete. The sorcerer said the jinn would open the tomb the next day, but nothing happened. The family began to panic when neighbors knocked on the door looking for Ahmed, whose family had already reported him missing. On Friday, September 10th, after the evening prayer around 9 p.m., Fatima, Adam, her daughter, and her nephew decided to cut up the body because suspicions were rising with the missing person report and neighbors asking questions. They used the same sharp knives and carefully dismembered the body into 3 main parts, wrapped each part in thick garbage bags to contain the smell, then placed the pieces into 2 large plastic bags and a big black suitcase. Mohamed Ali ordered them to dump the remains in the canal between Bani Haram and Dairut, because the road was quiet and unguarded. Adam took the first bag and threw it into the canal. Fatima took the suitcase and threw it farther down the canal near Dairut. The head was thrown by Salem Omar on the agricultural road near a trash area so the wind would flip it. Each part was disposed of separately to avoid suspicion. Meanwhile, the whole family joined Ahmed's relatives outside in the public search. Adam even drove around with Ahmed's family in his small pickup, claiming they had searched all of Dairut and Bani Haram. On Saturday morning at 7 a.m., Fatima left with the now empty suitcase. To neighbors who saw her, she said she was going to Cairo to have surgery on her leg because she was in pain. She took a small truck to Dairut Center, then continued on to Cairo for real but returned 2 days later and hid in a nearby house to avoid attracting any suspicion. The investigations officially began on Saturday, the 11th of September, after the first bag was discovered, and a search team of 25 officers was formed, assisted by public security in Cairo for forensic analysis. The first step was examining the dumping site. The canal was screened thoroughly with water and soil samples for hours. They found motorcycle tire tracks near the Bani Haram Bridge, fabric fibers matching local cotton, and additional blood samples, which forensics confirmed belonged to the same person. Forensics sent an initial report. The body belonged to one person. Death was caused by severe bleeding after stab wounds, and the dismemberment happened a few hours after death using a sharp tool like a knife. Fingerprints from the lower body were sent to the lab in Cairo, and the police began questioning residents in 50 homes in Bani Haram and Dairut al-Sharif. All residents said no one was missing. The team mapped the canal and started looking for cameras in Dairut Center, but there were none, so they relied on witnesses. On Sunday, the 12th of September, after collecting the complete body from the third bag, the team focused on all missing person reports in Asyut, which led them to Uday's report about Ahmed at 2 p.m. The family was summoned at 4 p.m. and taken to the morgue at Asyut University Hospital, where the identity was confirmed through the face and dental examination. Uday described the last day in detail. Ahmed went to his uncle Mohamed Ali's house at 8 p.m. to fix the washing machine, which had indeed been broken. His Suzuki car was still parked under the house, completely intact. The police immediately inspected the car. No blood or signs of struggle. But the phone's last signal was at 8:15 near his uncle's house, which made the security director request call records from the telecommunications company. On Monday, the 13th of September, the investigation expanded to Al Saida Street. Neighbors in nearby houses were questioned. One said he heard a faint scream on Thursday from Mohamed Ali's house around 8:30 p.m., but thought it was the TV. Another neighbor said Fatima was seen leaving on Saturday morning with a large suitcase, saying she was going to Cairo for surgery on her leg, even though she had never complained about her leg, and the timing didn't match Ahmed's disappearance. A third neighbor mentioned Mohamed Ali's secret digging since April and said he had been transporting soil every Thursday night, claiming he was building a storage basement, but suddenly stopped. The security director connected the threads and suspected Mohamed Ali and Adam with 90% certainty, and requested an immediate search warrant from the public prosecution in Asyut. The raid happened immediately. The team entered the house with 10 officers, and the discoveries terrified everyone. The first room had walls stained with dried blood, bloody handprints, an 18-meter pit filled with digging tools and traces of blood at the bottom. The second pit was similar, 20 meters deep. Blood-stained knives were hidden under the bed, and several bags filled with soil were found. Blood samples were tested in the mobile lab and matched Ahmed within an hour. The police also found a hand-drawn map of the digging sites. They arrested Mohamed Ali, Adam, Fatima, who had returned from Cairo, the sorcerers, and the other 5 men in the same house, and transported them all to Dairut police station under heavy security. The investigation at the Dairut Center involved separate sessions for each defendant and lasted a full 3 days. The first session was with Mohamed Ali, who denied everything. He said the digging had stopped months ago and that the blood came from an animal slaughtered during Eid al-Adha. But after being confronted with the forensic samples that arrived from Cairo, he collapsed and confessed that they had been digging since the 15th of April searching for antiquities, and that they reached a pharaonic tomb. The sorcerers demanded a sacrifice, and we chose Ahmed because he was the most suitable person. We lured him and killed him. The prosecution detained all 9 defendants. In November 2021, the case was referred to the Asyut Criminal Court, and the trial began on the 10th of December. It continued for 5 sessions, during which the confessions were heard again. The verdict was issued on the 20th of December 2021. Execution for all 9 defendants for premeditated murder, with their case files sent to the Grand Mufti for the religious ruling. The appeal at the Court of Cassation in Cairo took place in February 2022, and the verdict was upheld in June 2022. My friends, this story is a harsh lesson about the dangers of superstitions and greed, things that turn families into criminals and destroy innocent lives like Ahmed Mohamed Ali, who lost his life because of delusion, greed, and corruption. May God have mercy on him and forgive him, and grant patience to his family who are still battling the memories. And with that, today's episode is over. If this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. Wait for me in the next episode. Goodbye.